I cannot wait to eat you up. God damn. Oh shit. What? I'm looking at food. Like what are y'all on? But I can't wait to have you in my What's up, everybody? Welcome and welcome back to the channel. I'm Tammy. This is Tammy Talks. We are here to talk Married at First Sight, Season 18, Episode 12. I just want to eat you up. If you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, thumbs up the video, leave your comments down below. It's a lot to talk about. I know the video is late. I told y'all corporate thugging during the day. So I had to travel in corporate thug out of town. All right. So if you guys have not, though, do me a favor, subscribe. As always, we shoot for 1,000 likes. I know it's kind of tough this week, but I'm going to make sure this is a good one for y'all. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get right into the recap, right into it. David. Come on up to the front. Come on up to the front, Control. Come on up. Emin. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it, y'all. So the episode starts off with Thug Life and Camille. So they are headed to meet Camille's family. So we're going to meet her dad, her uncle, and her grandmother, Edna, who was so adorable. That melanin is popping. Edna looks good. I don't know how old Edna is, but I love seeing older Black people. I love it. I love when we live for some years, okay? So let's go check them out. So Thomas is hoping that being around Camille's family will allow him to see a softer side of her. Y'all know Camille is very rough and tough with her Afro puffs, and Thomas wants her to relax, be more vulnerable. He wants to see the softer side of her, okay? He don't want to have to be thug life around her. So he hopes that this gives him a little bit of clarity, and I hope it does as well. So Grandma Edna said that, as a baby, Camille didn't even talk. She just pointed at what she wanted, that. Okay? And Thomas said, well, shit, she talk now. Thomas says she's very vocal now, but they have what I think was an amazing conversation. Her grandmother collected all her newspaper scraps and all that type of stuff, and it was really, really cute. Camille's father was saying that she was more of a finesse baller, he wanted her to be more aggressive, so he was a very honest supporter. Like what you doing is cool, but you gotta kind of have that eye of the tiger if you're going to do sports. But Camille went on to be one of the top athletes in her state, and then apparently she came on up here to Wisconsin, and I think somebody put in my comments she played for Carroll College, and I was like, Carroll? Okay. But she played for Carroll College, and she did great, so good for her. Next we see Ikechi. I can't even give him the black and white now, because I feel like it's for old time's sake. Let me just get the people what they want. But I feel like he don't really need it for real. But he's doing a diary cam. And he's saying that, look, I was supposed to move back in, and I got mixed emotions about it, as you should, right? I don't know why the experts advised him to move back in. I think that was a terrible idea. Let's start off with, maybe going over and just spending more time together. But hey, so he now realizes that he needs more time. I don't want to move back in. Whatever. He says that he is not himself when he is around her, and he doesn't want to lose his peace. I will say this. If you are not yourself when you are around Emin, that is an indicative of how you feel about yourself, because Emin is not doing anything to you. Emin has not caused you to not feel like yourself. Emin is not belittling you. She's not tearing you down. She's not attacking you. She's not doing any of that type of stuff. So if you Ikechi feel that you were not yourself when you were around Emin, nigga, eat a Snickers and get the fuck on. Let's continue, because we're not going to keep going and rehashing the same conversation with him. We're not going to do it. He done made me lose my notes getting mad at him. Okay, so next up, we are going to talk about, I think it's David and Michelle. Yeah. So, David and Michelle. So, they're in the car, and they're talking about what they did the night before, right? And Michelle is like, so, what did you do? David said, oh, well, I stopped by Madison and Alan's apartment, and, we had a little dinner and went out for some drinks. I bet you did. The fact that Michelle is not picking up when he's putting down, whatever. So they are headed to see Michelle's people. Now, Michelle said that, yeah, I need to get out of, get around some family because I am struggling in Chicago. I said, Chicago? Not you struggling in the big city away from the simple life that you wanted. I was with David. You struggling in Chicago? She clarifies, and I'm struggling with you. Camille said, no, not Camille. Michelle said, look, I'm struggling in this marriage. So she said in her confessional, she got a little interesting message from David she wants to talk about. So David apparently texted her, you are so damn fine. I just want to eat you up. I said, David was on demon time, okay? David said it was about food. Food. Okay. He said that his cousin was holding a plate of food and he was referring to the food. David said, but look, I deleted it real quick. And, I didn't know that you still got it. You must have had an Android because that iPhone unsend, yes, the iPhone unsends the things when they need to be unsent. But David and his Android apparently tried to unsend it, but she got it. So, look, David starts to really lean into this lie and say that, look, my cousin was talking about going to Chinatown and to my parents, and then this was happening, this was happening. I said, David, cut the bullshit. Right? Let's be real. Now, I am a foodie, okay? When I was out of town this past week, I took pictures of everything I ate. I'm a foodie. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw the food. My brother is also a foodie. Some of my friends are foodies. So I exchange food pictures with people all the time. I have never in this life or the next or the past have I ever received a plate of food, a picture of food from anybody and been like, damn, that looks so good. I want to eat you up. What? So David is leaning into this. And so Michelle was like, so how'd you text me? Well, how did that happen? David said, it was kind of open to the side, over to the side. And your message, okay, so your text message thread was right. It was like perpendicular to my Denise. That's her name. Damn, my cousin Denise, and she had texted me. And Michelle said, "So you ain't texting nobody else? You just text me and Denise? Or weren't you meeting up with Madison and Alan? And it's like, come on, Michelle." Let's get that cerebellum rotating, girl. He meant to send this shit to Madison. So I said, "Whoo, Jesus, whoo. This was disappointing, David. You're trash." I just kind of feel like, look, if neither one of you know what? We'll get there later because I got a lot to say. So we get to Michelle's people, and Michelle's friends were saying how back in the day she was lame. I'm not shocked, but she didn't want to do nothing. She didn't have any thoughts, whatever the case. And her getting into college and going to college just really kind of opened her up and made her find herself. And that's for a lot of people, right? A lot of people do blossom in college. A lot of people start to discover themselves in college, and it's great for them, which is why for some people it is good for them to get out of their parents' house, go live in the dorms, go out of state, because not only does it force you to grow up, but for a lot of people, it, you find yourself in college, right? People that aren't really sure of themselves, that don't have a lot of self-confidence. And Michelle is one of those people, so kudos to her for that and that only, okay? So what I did notice is that Michelle's people were telling David that, be a little more patient with her, give her grace because she's this amazing person. But this is after Michelle admitted to being standoffish, snippy, and quiet. And what I really don't like about On Married at First Sight is when these people's families have these conversations and they are hearing their family member. Michelle is saying, I've been snippy, I've been quiet, I've been standoff, I've been kind of rude, I haven't really been trying. Michelle is saying I am the problem in the marriage. They turn it to what David needs to do. No, the conversation should have been directed towards Michelle as well. Michelle, you have to lean into this a little more. Michelle has to use her mouth to show more of her personality. What is David supposed to do? That's what I don't get. Now, what David did is wrong. What David did is trash. I don't care how we feel about Michelle. Michelle does not deserve for David to basically disrespect her by sending her a message that was meant, a sexual message that was meant for another woman. That's disrespectful as fuck. Right? It's disrespectful any way you slice it. So I didn't like the scene. I didn't like the scene because how many times are we going to tell David that he needs to be patient and he needs to give her grace? No. No. I'm sorry, but it has been what, a month and a half at this point? They have 20 more days until decision day. How much, like, what else is David supposed to do? I don't get that. If Michelle hasn't shown him her personality by now and how amazing of a person she can be, she's not going to. We then get to Madison and Alan. They go to a baseball diamond so that they can play some catch. So Madison talks about playing softball in high school and how it gave her a sense of support and community from being on a team. So apparently she moved in 8th grade and then went to a small town where she was the new girl and it was awkward and all this other type of stuff. So she had the choice between softball and volleyball. She picked volleyball because her older sister played volleyball. There is something to be said about being on a team. I played basketball in middle school, volleyball in middle school, cheerleader, all that stuff. I ran track in high school. And the bond that I do have with a lot of the girls that I ran track with and some of the guys on my track team as well, it's a bond that you only get, is camaraderie that you get when you guys are spending so much time together and you're training and, you know, we're in practices, we're at meets. And y'all know, if you ever ran track or been to a track meet, we are at track meets for hours. So we're in school together all day. We would leave school early around like 1 or 2. We would get out of class early so that we could travel to a track meet. We might be on the bus together for 30, 45 minutes. So we're driving to this track meet where we are now sitting until probably sometimes 10, 11 o'clock at night because some track meets are just long. If you build a sense of community, you build a sense of camaraderie. So I understand what Madison is saying from that perspective. She then talks about being lower income as a child and being on food stamps. And she said that she had this one day where she had like a little party, a little set. She invited all these people from her new school. Her mom clearly came on some BS and just kind of not only embarrassed herself, but embarrassed Madison. And when you are a kid, situations like that stay with you. Sometimes that shit can scar you. And that's what Madison was going through in regards to her mother. So I feel like maybe Madison needs to talk to Michelle about the differences in growing up, because Michelle doesn't realize how good she might have had it, but who knows? I mean, we heard Madison talk about being on reduced fare lunch, but you know, who knows? So Alan tells her that, look, you now have an opportunity to learn from these situations in your life. You can now do the opposite when you have your children. And Madison knows that, and she feels that way. And she's like, yep, I can't wait to have, you know, my own daughter that I can experience and kind of give her the love and the support that she always wanted as a child. So Madison feels that her and Alan are moving in a positive direction. I said, oh, is it just because of this conversation? Because y'all could have been had this conversation. But you were too busy talking about how ugly the way he dressed and how weird his jokes were and like some of the little weird non-consequential quirks that Alan has about him. You were too busy doing that. Y'all could have had this conversation a long time ago. We see Ikechi. He's out with his friend boxing, talking about marriage is hard. It's hard work. Nigga, yes the fuck it is. Is it hard work? I don't know, because I'm not married. But I know that marriage is not a cakewalk. You are going to have ups and downs. And I've heard this from people that I have friends that have been married for a couple months. I have friends that have been married for a couple of years. My brother has been married for 5 years. My parents have been married for 46 years. So yes, you are going to have ups and downs when it comes to marriage. Why you were not mentally prepared for that, I don't know. I don't know what you thought, that you would be able to come into this marriage and not talk to her. I don't get it. So his friend is like, she's asking you questions because she's trying to get to know you, dummy. And Ikechi is like, nah, because she'll be like, okay, and then it's like, it's just question, and it's like, you sound stupid. You can't string together a coherent thought because nothing that you're saying makes sense, and bullshit is never gonna come out fluently. Okay, so Ikechi said that he feels uncomfortable being around her. And I'm like, again, that is a self induced problem. He then said that he does not think that moving back in together will help anything, and it won't. Emin, you're going to get black and white too, sis. So Emin is with her friend, and she's giving Rico a bath, and she said that they had a rough patch and things are looking up. You can't possibly believe that anything is looking up, Emin. Nothing got accomplished at that meeting with Dr. Pia and Pastor Cal because you did all the talking. Emin, what is going on, sis? Look, Emin, open opportunity. Come on to the channel. Let's have a conversation. I would really like to know, like, your mindset during this time frame, right? I'm a Libra. I'ma always do checks and balances, right? My scale is always right here. But I would love to know the initial thought process because you can't possibly think that things are looking up at this moment. What is looking up? Y'all are at the fucking bottom. Hell, you have nowhere to go but up. But so Emin is telling her friend about the disrespect and her moving past it. I was with her friend. Y'all ain't been together long enough for the disrespect to be coming out already. Disrespect should never come out, but like y'all ain't been married but a month. And so Emin is like, yeah, he called me an asshole on the 1 month anniversary. And it's like little things like that I would have been like, nigga, deuces, get the fuck. But Emin's better than me because I would not. My mouth is way too smart. I'd have been custy catchy out from the rooter to the tutor. He'd have heard me and heard me fucking well up in that apartment. But hey, I ain't on the show. So Emin is now saying that she wants them to continue living apart because since they met with the experts yesterday, they still haven't communicated. She hasn't talked to him. So she doesn't think that he needs to move back in without them having a real conversation first. And I am overcome with joy that Emin has like realized that. So Carla and Juan. So they are out for coffee and they are doing the exercise of writing a letter to their younger self. So Carla's going to write to her 10-year-old self and she wants her younger self to know that, look, it's okay to put your guard down. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to express your feelings. It's okay to be vocal about your feelings. She feels that if she would have known that as a child, she would have been more outgoing and it would have been easier for her to put up the necessary boundaries, not walls, but just boundaries. And maybe she would have had, a little lighter of a childhood in her opinion. Juan writes a letter to his 6-month, 6-year-old, and 16-year-old self because those were 3 very pivotal moments in his childhood. So at 6 months, his parents sent him away to his aunt, I believe he said, because the housekeeper tried to steal him. I said, I know you fucking lying, ma'am. So they had to send him away because both his parents worked and like now we don't trust the damn housekeeper. I said, sheesh. At 6 years old, his parents left him once again to go to America in pursuit of a better life. And 8 months later, they came to get him. But when he got over here, it was rough. They lost their house in the housing crisis. He had to learn a new language. He was in a new place. And it was just very, very rough for him. He has a very tearless, dramatic cry. I'm not taking away from what Juan went through. I'm not taking away from how Juan felt. But I do believe in this moment, my opinion, in this moment, Juan was putting on a little more because I think he wanted to kind of sell the story. When the story itself, like Juan has an amazing, incredible story. I commend anybody that comes over here and their parents grind and do what they need to do to provide a better life for their children. And Juan has grown up to be seemingly successful. I applaud anybody that can speak more than one language. I commend anybody that learns the English language. Our language is trash. All these conjunctions and all that type of shit, silent letters. Yeah, so I commend anybody that can do that. And I think that Juan, just to me at least, he tried to play this up a little more. But he wants to let himself know that his younger self know that he just wishes he would have handled all this like kind of adversary and stuff a little bit better and not been so angry at his parents because they were doing the best that they could. At 16 years old, his father was diagnosed with cancer. His father did beat it. Obviously, we've seen him on the show. And so he just, wishes he could have prepared himself for how to handle this a little bit better. Okay, everybody has a great story. Madison and Alan go fishing. That's something that I guess Alan's father enjoys and has passed down to him. So Alan talks about how his parents would basically drag each other in front of him, which you're never supposed to do. My parents have never disrespected each other in front of me and my brother. It's not something that if I have children, I would ever do. Like, you're just not supposed to do that. You're not. So Alan said that he has dated hot messes before in the past because he thinks that he kind of resonates and, connects with that type of toxicity. And he probably does, right? So he thinks that he has just basically shared trauma. We find out that in his past relationship, she cheated on him 15 times. Whore. Don't worry about that heifer. So then Alan talks about his stepsister. So apparently his mother had another daughter, and he has not seen or heard from his sister since 2003. Prior to the wedding, because growing up, he kind of felt like he kind of took away from his sister's childhood because his mother represented herself, didn't have the money for a lawyer, and so a lot of their mother's free time went to her probably reading up about divorce cases and laws and what she can do to come out favorable in this situation. So he gets really, really emotional, really choked up. When he did talk to his sister, she was like, "It's not your fault." And even though he knows that a part of him, because Alan is a very sensitive, empathetic guy, and you can tell that about him, he has a big heart, and he probably blames himself for whatever shortcomings his sister does feel like she had in her childhood. So they had a really good conversation. I think the letters to my future self need to come a little sooner because we always see people connect a little bit more and a little deeper during this time. We then see Thomas and Camille. They go to meet Thomas's biological mother. So he was in the car and he was like, I've known my bio mom for 7 years, but she likes to drink, she likes to cook. Like, y'all gonna take shots together. Camille walks up in the house. I heard we gonna do shots. Where the shots at? Let's do shots. I said, come on, sit your drunk ass down. Oh my God. I thought that was so tacky. I thought that was so tacky for the Camille to go in Thomas's mother's house and all but say, where the liquor? That's the vibe she was giving. Act like you done had some fucking Quavo before, Camille. The fuck is going on? But we find out Thomas's mother's story. So at 16 years old, she had already had Thomas's older sister. When she was pregnant again, probably after she found out she had twins, she was having twins, she felt that she could not take care of 3 children at her age. So she met up with this woman at her job and they introduced her to an adoption clinic. After she signed the adoption papers, she knew that she had made a mistake. And you can tell that she kind of regrets it. And Thomas is like, look, I don't hold any resentment towards you. You did what you thought was the best thing. Not what you thought. You did what was the best for you at that time. I can't hold that against you. Thomas still was, adopted by a wonderful family. He grew up, had a really good childhood and a good upbringing. So he's like, I don't have any resentment towards you. And I thought this was a very, outside of junkie, I thought this was just a very, very beautiful, beautiful scene. I loved everything about it. Ikechi and Emin get to their apartment. And Ikechi comes in and was like, I would prefer to take a step back and get to know each other rather than moving in. I 1000% agree. I think it's a good idea for both of them. Emin couldn't wait to be like, me too. Yeah, me too. Let him have the moment, sis. Give him the smallest of victories and leave some of your pride leave some of your pride, okay? So Ikechi tells her that it is still kind of weird being in spaces with her. And he said that even being in the apartment right now adds a level of anxiety that he just doesn't want to feel, and he doesn't want to put that on her. So that makes sense, right? If you feel that you're gonna come into this space and be an asshole, the asshole we know that you can be, then don't bring your ass here. Perfectly fine. Y'all should be meeting in very neutral places anyways, okay? So Emmett said, well, look, the ball is in your court. I'm gonna fall back um from communicating. I'm not going to reach out to you. I just want to see you put some effort into it. Ikechi said that he has always given effort. Emin said not that 1 week. Ikechi doesn't want to talk about that week. And I was on Emin's side, but we need to. So Emin is like, look, I was texting you, I was calling you, I was reaching out to you, and you were not texting, calling, or reaching back out to me. Ikechi said, look, if I ask for space and I ask for time, the end is on my time, it's not on yours. And Emin is like, but that's not beneficial to a healthy relationship. I see what both sides are saying, right? And we all told Emin this. Well, we screamed it through the TV. If he said to give him space, if he walks away, leave that nigga where he's at. Right? One thing I'm gonna never do is if I get into an argument with somebody and that person walks out, I'm not gonna call you when I know I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not gonna do it. So if he is saying that he needs time, we don't get to dictate the amount of time that somebody wants. I mean, this man is telling you he don't like you. He's telling you he doesn't respect you. He's doing everything in his power to get you to say, fuck you, nigga, I'm over it, and you just won't. You just won't. So her saying that it's not beneficial to a healthy relationship, y'all don't have a healthy relationship, Emmy. Y'all don't. But it's also not beneficial to a healthy relationship to badger somebody that's saying that is basically pushing you away. And I just think that Emin is I don't know what it is. So he wants to start over on a clean, fresh slate, and it's very clear that Emin wants to keep rehashing this. What I think they should do is if they want to start over and just ride these 20 days out until the end, literally start over. Y'all are not going to forget the things that have happened, but I do think that a conversation does need to be had about him calling her an asshole. And if I was Emin, I would say, if we are not going to have a conversation about you calling me an asshole, then we cannot have a fresh slate. We cannot start over. We can't. We can't do it. So so Emin then says, well, look, I'm just telling you that you won't be hearing from me. If you don't reach out, we won't talk. He clearly shuts down. We see him in his mind being like, ah. So he gets up, goes to get some water, and he's like, look, she tells him, if you don't want to talk about it, just say that. And he tells her, I already did, which he did, Emin. He did. So he then tells her, look, your assertion does not feel welcome. Okay? I can reach out, but the way that you assert yourself is not welcoming. And I see what he's saying. Emin, it's like, remember the age old adage. It's not what you say, but how you say it, right? It's not that Emin is asking questions. It's not that she's saying these things, because by saying, if you don't call me, I'm not reaching out no more. It's not what she's saying. It's the way that she delivers it that is just not resonating with him. And instead of Emin kind of seeing that, she's harping on it, right? So, case in point, he apologizes and it's like, I apologize if that's how you felt, when she said that he was being dismissive. Instead of just being like, okay, taking it in that moment and then saving that conversation for another day, she wants to harp on it, but that's not a real apology. She wants to harp on stuff. And again, like Pastor Cal said, they are two different people. They operate two different ways. Yes. Okay. So he then tells her that, look, let's leave the past in the past and move forward. He decides to grab the things that he left. She is in her confessionals saying that she didn't refer to him as her husband. She says she's going to stop. She is now going to treat him as a man that wants to date her, which you should have been the entire time, Emmy. But hopefully we see something moving with them. All right. Michelle is out with her friend getting drinks, and her friend is like, I want to get to know David more. Let's get to know David. Michelle said he's sincere, he's thoughtful. I told him we were gonna, meet up, and he was like, okay, y'all need what y'all need at the house, y'all need drinks, whatever, whatever. And she was like, I told him we're going to a bar. I said, Michelle, girl, what the fuck? Oh my God. If I didn't hate Michelle, she would crack me up. So Michelle brings up David's text, okay? Her friend said the story don't make sense, and it doesn't. We all know it doesn't. David is a terrible liar. So Michelle turned into Whitney Houston from, what is it, Heartbreak Hotel? Talking about it was at 5:30 that I texted him, and then again at 9:45, and her friend was like, "That's booty call hours." And is this from the Simple Life? Is 9:45 booty call hours in the Simple Life? 9:45 is not booty call hours, sis. That was very cute of you to say that, Miss Ma'am, but that's not booty call hours. So Michelle then said that they are married and she isn't reaching out to her old hoes. Michelle, you ain't got no fucking hoes. Girl, gone somewhere. Michelle, come on. Let's not act like you got exes. Come on. So Michelle wants to know if she should ask for receipts. Yes. Girl, what? Show me the fucking food that you want to eat up so bad. Yeah. Michelle better than me, because I'd have wrote back that night, who you talking to? If he would have said food, show me the picture right now. Send it to me. I like food too. Shit. Let me see what y'all about to sop up like a biscuit. So silly. Ignorant. Madison and Alan are writing letters to their younger selves. Alan writes a letter to 12-year-old Alan. He doesn't have, or he did not have the self-confidence in himself and struggled at being himself. He also struggled with masculinity. He said because he had a lot of feminine, presences in his life, his mom, his sisters, his aunts. And I guess what I honestly think it was is that because Alan seems like a more sensitive person, his father probably told his ass, man up, stop all that crying. That's what I got from it, but he kind of glossed over it. Madison wrote a letter to her 14-year-old self, and we find out that her grandmother passed away in a horrific car accident that almost took her brother out as well. So Madison's grandmother really stepped up to kind of be like a maternal figure for her because she knew that she was lacking a parent, and she just wishes that she would have taken more time to be with her grandmother. They're a gift. My grandmothers lived to be 92 and 95. So there are still times where I'm like, I wish I would have, called that day, or I wish I would have done more of this. But I also have the peace of knowing that I saw both of my grandmothers days before they passed. My paternal grandmother, I remember going over there a couple of days before. I just had a feeling like, I want to go by Granny's house. I was talking to my dad, and he was like, yo, let's go. So I spent time with her and all that type of stuff. She passed away peacefully in her sleep. She didn't have any ailments a couple of days later. My maternal grandmother, she was in hospice from complications with her kidneys as a result of breast cancer. And so I was out there with my cousins, my brother. We all spent a substantial amount of time with her. I remember doing a lot of stuff for her when she first started to get sick, going over and cleaning up her house for her. I have a very weak stomach. So doing things like changing some of her bandages and stuff like that, I had to really push through to do it for her, but I'm glad I did. So I see what Madison is saying, but cherish the time that you had with them. Cause They're not holding it against you, okay? So then we have Carla and Juan. They meet up with Carla's cousins. It's another instance, much like Michelle's family, where they're like what Juan needs to do, what Juan needs to do, instead of what Carla needs to do as well. Cool. We get to the main event. I've been waiting to talk about this. All right. So David and Michelle, okay, they back at the apartment. Michelle wants to talk about the text message chain again. David said, I thought we was going to read the letters. I said, no, we ain't reading shit. We're going to talk. Let's read this text message, okay? So David said, look, my cousin Denise, sent me a picture of some food, and I meant to say, looks good. I want to eat it up. And Michelle was like, you don't think that's weird? David was like, no, me and my cousins are close. I call her my baby, and my number one, that type of stuff. Michelle said, but the pronouns for food is it. And this is suspicious. I said, look at Detective Michelle, okay? Look, the baby thing, number one, whatever, right? When I see people and like that I haven't seen in a while, I'm good for it. What's good, baby? How you doing? I do that too. You know what I'm saying? So maybe it's cultural. I don't know when it comes to Michelle, but I don't think it's weird for him to. We know that let's level set. We know David is lying, right? That's a lie. But I think Michelle is harping on the wrong things, right? Michelle is going into the semantics of the text message. Find out where the food is, Michelle. That's how you catch his ass, right? So David is on some, okay, whatever. And I'm like, nah, nigga. No, you want to talk any other time? Open them lips up and talk. No, let's get to the root of it. See, Michelle didn't do enough for me. Michelle, you should have tagged me and says I'd have got David's ass. I'd have had David on the ropes like, wait. Because David, not you getting an attitude with her for asking basic questions. Right? So Michelle was like, show me the photo. David was like, oh, so now you want to see the photo. Probably like, damn, I don't have no pictures of food in my phone. Fuck. And it puts his phone down. And Michelle was like, okay, so you don't have a picture? David was like, nah. Nah, ain't no picture. I said, what is funny? Ha, hell, where's the picture? So Michelle then goes on to say, okay, well, what kind of food was it? David was like, I don't know, dumplings. Unless it's chicken and dumplings, like, okay, whatever. Michelle was like, okay, so what was Denise wearing in the picture? I don't know what my cousin was wearing, I mean, sure, I was looking at the food. What color was the plate? Were there utensils on the plate? What kind of food was it, David? I don't know. It was exotic. I mean, here's my thing. It looks so good. So good, you can't wait to eat it up, but you can't explain what the food was. Because had it been me, I'd have been like, okay, I don't know what it was, but it was some rice, and then it had like some meat on it, right? And then the meat was in like a red sauce that had some cheese to the side. They sprinkled a little parsley on it. That shit was popping. Why can't, David, you can't even think on your feet long enough. What is your favorite dish? I had some charbroiled oysters this weekend. Oh my fucking God, right? The way that I can give y'all a visual of them oysters and how that plate was today, and I had this food on Tuesday, what are we talking about, David? Right? Silly ass. So then Michelle said, look, have you been texting other women during this marriage? David said, yes. Yes, I have. I said, oh, God. He said, I text Danielle, bought her a coffee this morning. He said, I text Jackie O. That's one of my homegirls. And then he was like, and I text Roxy, and I saw her today. I said, Roxy? You text Roxy? Roxy, what do you have to say about this?
Y'all know it wasn't me.
Roxy, do we know? Shout out to Roxy says, y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to her channel, watch her recap. I got my eye on you, Roxy, because now I don't know. Okay? Now I don't know. Me and Michelle looking at Roxy sideways. But I was like, David. David sounded like the DMX song when he started naming all the songs. Like, what? So then David get real stupid. And it's like, I didn't know it wasn't okay to talk to or see our exes. Stop that bullshit, David. Go on with that bullshit somewhere. Go on with that bullshit somewhere, right? So then Michelle is like, you don't go on dates or sext other people when you're in a marriage. Do you know that you're married? David's heart is racing. I said, Michelle, do you know that you're married? You haven't been exactly acting married yourself. But I'm going to say this, y'all. Hear me and hear me well. Okay? Before y'all get to typing like Carmen in the comments. Just because Michelle is a bitch does not mean that David is well within his rights to step outside of his marriage and start texting other women. Why the fuck are you buying Danielle coffee? Why? Why are you taking Danielle coffee? Why are you kicking it with Roxy? What is going on? That doesn't make sense to me. To me, that doesn't make sense. I can't fathom this. So David said, well, either you accept what I said or you don't, end of story. I'd have been like, who the fuck are you talking to, Control? You done lost your mind. Is the Bayang tripping you out? David, I would have laid down on David's ass talking to me like that. Because the audacity of you to have an attitude and to get snippy when, nigga, you're in the wrong. You are in the wrong. No, Michelle don't like your broke ass, right? But you still want to stay in the marriage with her. So if you are going to stay in the marriage with her, and if y'all are going to ride it out, then fucking act like you married. The same way that we said that when it came to Gina and Clint, they would have been wrong. The same way that on the Texas season in Houston, when old boy was back on Tinder, that shit was wrong. It is always wrong if y'all are in a marriage on this show for you to be stepping out and texting and taking coffee and doing all that extra shit that you know you are not supposed to be doing. Control, I am disgusted with you. Talking when I'm sitting here in a nice outfit. Is it? Is it nice? Whatever. Y'all let me know what you guys thought about this episode. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, thumbs up the video, get into the comments. We late, but we here. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.